All right, welcome to Chair Yoga, and tonight we're going to look at posture a little bit. Now notice just saying the word posture, how often we adjust our body's position unconsciously, right? We start to move immediately because something inside of us already knows the way I'm sitting right now needs adjustment, needs alertness, and so I adjust. So in today's class, we'll look at some very simple aspects of posture. Because they're simple doesn't mean it's easy, it just means it requires our attention on that part of the body. And make sure you have something to lean back into at some point, maybe a cushion or a bolster, and maybe something for under your feet when we come to rest towards the end of the class. So there's a couple of aspects of posture that might help us here. The first one is, as we sit on a chair, walk your sit bones towards the edge of the chair. So as you do that, if you lean back, let's start with leaning back first. So lean back against your chair. Now notice that feels kind of comfortable. But if you bring your hands behind your low back, you'll feel that the low back is slightly stretched out. It's rounding. In other words, the pelvis is slightly spilling backwards. And this contributes to our posture in a way that's called kyphosis of the spine, where we end up being rounded as we age. And we don't really want to do that. However, if you walk your sit bones towards the edge of the chair and feel your sit bones on the edge of the chair, you'll notice if you bring your hands behind the back, the rounding has disappeared. And there's a very, very slight arching. Let's exaggerate the arch. Pull the shoulders back and look up a little bit. And that's called lordosis of the spine. So that's too much as well. That creates a strain on the low back. So come back to this modest tilt forward of the pelvis, a slight arch. So even when we're standing, when we're sitting, this is the kind of postural alignment we want for the pelvis. Now below the pelvis, you might look at your feet for a moment and just notice how they're positioned. Bring them together. Now when we bring them together, we create a lot of force on the body in a way that's not very natural. We want to distribute the weight a little bit, so bring the feet about hip-width distance apart. And then notice if one leg wants to rotate, if one foot wants to rotate outwards. See if you can work on bringing the feet roughly parallel together. Maybe with a slight rotation outwards if that's too much. Knees above ankles. Now to work on the next section from the hips up to the shoulders, we could bring the shoulders forward, reach the hands forward, and you feel a stretch in the upper back. Again, this could feel kind of delicious, stretching out the back. But this is also going to contribute to rounding of the back. So bring the shoulders back and down, and the elbows close to the ribs, palms face up. So there's a very slight tension between the shoulder blades. With the palms face up, that helps open the chest and hold our postural alignment. It helps the shoulder blades come back. Now, what happens above the shoulders into the head? Most of our life when we read or text, we push our head forward. We lean forward like this. Just put your head forward like a little chicken pecking at a little piece of food. And notice how the back of the neck collapses. So we compress the back of the neck. We shorten the spine in the neck. So imagine someone's got an icy cold finger on your chin and you pull your chin back in. And you feel a little different feeling in the back of the neck, but the back of the neck is lengthened. So the head floats above the shoulders. And then imagine the head is like a helium balloon. And it's floating upwards. Instead of being this big rock crushing the skull, crushing the spine, it's floating up, and you can almost feel the back part of the skull lift up. Like a little marionette, pulling the head upwards, taking off pressure on the back of the spine. Now, once we find good posture, it's very easy to lose posture when we do very simple things. For instance, if I asked you to look up at the ceiling, just look up and notice what happens to the back of your neck. And then look down towards the floor. Come back to neutral. And then take your hands, take your pointer fingers, and push them slightly into your ears. And imagine that those two pointer fingers are part of an axle. And look up again, but this time imagine that your head is rotating about the axle. Can you feel the difference? And then axle, rotate the head down, looking down. And notice how that changes the compression in the back of the neck when you simply look up over that axle and then look down over that axle. So even the way we turn our head up and down can change our posture in the subtlest of ways. Exhale, release the hands, palms face up. Now imagine a vertical axis coming in right up through the body, from the sit bones, through the skull. As you breathe in, push down through the sit bones. Feel yourself become heavier on the chair. Almost like you're trying to drill down into the earth, through the crust, the mantle, into the core of the earth. Kaplunk. Feel yourself arrive at the core of the earth. Each time you breathe in, you drill down deeper. Now, as you exhale, feel the heart lift up. Feel the neck lengthen. And feel the top of the head lift up. So from the heart up to the head becomes lighter, more vertical, taller. As you breathe in, you become more grounded, more anchored. So your body has to lengthen because it's going in two directions. You're taking the compression off the spine. You feel this inner axle, vertical axle, up through the body. And imagine that axle is a way to pivot the head. Gently turn the head to the left around the axle. Inhale the head to neutral. And then sweep to the right through that axis. So being very conscious of the axle about which you rotate can often take away pain in the neck. And what does that mean? It simply means that you're in good posture as you turn the head left and right. Bring the head to neutral. Keep the chin over the chest this time, and let's move to the shoulders. And imagine that the shoulders are turning about the same axle, this vertical axis up through the body. Bring that right shoulder back, left shoulder forward, around the axis, right through the center of the heart. Inhale, neutral. Exhale, bring the left shoulder back. Keep the chin stable over the chest, so we're not moving the chin so much. We're not rotating the head, but just the thoracic part of the body. So we start to see this vertical axis as our posture, even while we're turning. Continue moving the shoulders left and right, and then add the head. So as that right shoulder comes back, look over the right shoulder. Inhale to neutral. Exhale, bring the left shoulder back, and then turn the head to the left. And just notice the absence of pain, the absence of tension when you keep focus on that vertical axis. Notice if it gives you any more range of motion. Inhale back to neutral. This time bring your hands down to the hips like Wonder Woman. And we're going to rotate from the hips this time. So keep the chin and the shoulders steady as you bring that left hip forward, right hip back. Just a modest turn to start with. Inhale, neutral. Exhale, the other side. Go slowly. Really feel the axis as your turning point. The next time you bring the left hip forward, right hip back, pause, and now bring the right shoulder back, left shoulder back, deepening the twist of the thoracic cavity. And now bring the head further to that right shoulder. Bring the head back to neutral. Bring the shoulders back, and then bring the hips back. Let's try that again, opposite side. Bring that right hip forward, left hip back, pause. Now bring the left shoulder back more, right shoulder forward more, pause. Now turn the head to the left and pause. Bring the head back to neutral, shoulders back to neutral, hips back to neutral. So try that again in that sequence from the base up. Twist, hip, shoulder, head. Reverse sequence, head, shoulder, hip. Come back to neutral. Other side. Base, hips, shoulders, head. Come back to neutral, head, shoulders, hip. Keep that vertical axis 2 or 3 more times in your own time. Keep coming back to that central axis so that your posture is maintained in the twist. And notice how your range of motion feels. The next time you come to the right, bring that left hip forward, right hip back. Bring that right shoulder back, left shoulder back. Look over that right shoulder, and then bring the hands. Let the hands assist you. Right hand behind you. Left hand crosses over the midline of the body to hold the twist. Now relax the shoulders. Smile and sit up. Turn the head a little more to the right. Keep that focus on that central axis. And then gently turn just the head through that central axis to the left. And notice how that feels, a double twist. Now remember, when we unwind, we go neck first, neutral, relax the hands, torso comes back to neutral, and finally the hips back to neutral. Try the other side. Bring that right hip forward, left hip back. Left shoulder back, right shoulder forward. Head turns towards the left shoulder. Bring the left hand behind you this time. Right hand crosses over. So the arms now anchor you in the twist. This may allow you to deepen the twist. Let's see. Right hip forward, left shoulder back. Head can turn a little further to that left shoulder. Sit up tall, relax the shoulders. Gently turn the head to the right. And once again, notice when we focus on posture, when we focus on the central axis of the body, a lot of the tension and pain in our neck, shoulders, hips disappears immediately. Remember to release, head first, neutral. Relax the arms, shoulders to neutral, and then hips to neutral. So what else contributes to posture? The legs. So extend the legs out for a moment, curl the toes back, and feel the stretch sensation in the back of the legs. So you imagine if those leg muscles, the hamstrings and the calf muscles, tighten up, it shortens the back body. And when we shorten the back body, it pulls on our lower back. So let's lengthen the lower body legs. So step 1, just what we're doing. Step 2, slide the hands down over the knees and start to feel the stretch sensations in the lower back. Inhale, sit up. Exhale, slide down. We'll turn this into a dynamic stretching. Inhaling, coming up. Exhaling, coming down. And you may notice that the range of motion starts to increase slowly. So the goal isn't to touch the toes. The goal is to lengthen the muscles at the back of the legs. To release tension on the knees, to release tension on the Achilles, on the ankle, to release tension into the low back and hips. If you do touch your toes, you can go beyond the toes if you like, pointing towards the mat. Just getting that dynamic movement. The next time you come forward, find that delicious range of motion. Relax the shoulders. For 3, 2, and 1. Walk the hands back up. Let the arms lift you up so you don't strain the low back. Bend the knees, come back to your postural alignment. Vertical axis. Turn the head to the right. Inhale, neutral. Turn the head to the left. Inhale, neutral. Bring your axle through the ears. Look up over the axle. Look down over the axle. Bring the head back to neutral. Grab your knees, and we're going to loosen up that low back waist area, circling the torso around the pelvic wall. So movement and blood flow are important for our posture, because without them we get very stiff. It's one thing to have posture and be stiff. It's another thing to have posture and be fluid, other direction. So we don't want posture to become so rigid that we're trapped. We want our posture to be a function of our well-being and flexibility. And then pause. So on that notion of movement, let's bring the left knee up, grab the hamstring, and kick it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Change legs. Pick up right and kick. 2, 3, 4, 5. Movement of the leg inside the hip joint. Let's bring the hands out to the side and bring the left knee up and kick. 1, drop, right, kick, drop. Switching, alternating legs back to the earth. Just getting a different range of motion. Two, 1, and 1. With arms extended, notice the difference in your posture. Rotate the palms to the sky and notice what happens to the shoulder blades. Notice that the shoulders come back a little bit more. Palms down, palms up. Palms down, palms up. Bend the elbows 90 degrees, make goalpost arms or goddess arms. Palms forward. Now palms behind you, notice what happens. See how the head wants to come forward? Rotate back to goddess. Shoulder blades squeeze, the head comes back. Palms face back, head comes forward. So we can see this relationship between position of hands and posture. Hands face back, head comes forward. Palms face forward, head comes back. Let's see how that principle applies to sitting with your palms forward. Close your eyes and be very sensitive to the subtle movement as you reverse the palms back. Just notice how the shoulders come forward a little bit and the head comes forward a little bit. Palms face forward, so feel the shoulder blades squeeze, the head comes back, shoulders come back. Try that again. Palms face back, head comes forward. Palms face forward. Shoulder blades squeeze, head comes back. Now explore here. Palms face back, head comes forward. Keep the palms facing back, but bring the head back. Notice the feelings that brings into the back of the neck, right up into the skull. Keep it back. Now reverse the palms forward. And notice how that strain in the neck reduces. Example 2. Bring your hands forward, bending at the elbows. Close the fists as if you're pushing a shopping trolley at Stop and Shop. And then flip the palms 180 degrees and grab your shopping trolley from underneath. Now do the same thing 3 or 4 times and feel the slight difference in posture. Grab over the top, shoulders come forward. Grab underneath, shoulders come back. Now it might only be a millimeter or a centimeter, but you should be able to simply feel the direction of your hands will change your posture. So no more pushing that trolley with the hands facing down. Palms face up. It's going to look strange, but it's going to be better for your posture. Steering wheel, circle, 10 past 2. Shoulders come forward. 4:40, shoulders come back. 10 past 2, shoulders come forward. 4:40, shoulders come back. So driving the car, changing the hand position legally, I might add, legally, right? 4:40 is legal. 10 past 2 is what we probably learned. But you can see how 10 past 2 over time is going to pull us into that kyphosis of the spine, which is not what we want. We don't want to grow old with this leaning forward. We want to grow old with that postural alignment. All right. How are we doing with posture? There's a lot on posture today. All right, good. Let's now again, we want posture to be able to help us function, not lock us into a rigid body. So we need to open up the hips. Bring that left hip open and then close it. Right hip open and close it. So we're abducting the hips left and right, maybe at the speed of the breath so it's not too fast. Inhale as you open, exhale as you close. And you'll notice that I'm working on about a 90-degree opening, so I'm not overdoing it. Let's do a deeper stretch here, more than 90 degrees. Bring that right leg out, left leg out, so you create an obtuse angle, which is going to stretch through the adductors. Bring your hands up onto the thighs, just above the knee, and push down. Keep the arms nice and straight. Even if the shoulders pop up towards the neck, that's okay. Lean that left shoulder, push against that left leg. drop the left shoulder and look towards your right knee. Now imagine the axis of symmetry right through the neck here. Can you turn the head to the right further around the axis? Inhale the head to neutral, slowly come up. So that's a big stretch on that adductor of that left side. Let's try the other side. Dropping the left shoulder, keep the left arm straight. The right elbow can bend because you're pressing and pushing against the inner right thigh. Think about your vertical axis through the core of the body and through the neck. And turn the head to the left. Inhale, come back to neutral. Come back to posture. And then open the left leg out. We're going to do Warrior One because Warrior One really compresses the back a little bit. So I want you to feel that as we do Warrior One. So the left leg is rotated. Pivot the whole torso. Now as you pivot the torso, keep the left thigh on your chair, but the right thigh is in space. You can smack your butt. You can smack that right hamstring. Hold the back of the chair for now. Think about your vertical axis. From the crown of the head, down through the neck, down through the torso, down into your left sit bone. Extend your right leg back. Now notice as you extend that right leg back, you come onto the ball of the foot, heel is lifted. And as your right hip comes forward, we compress the low back. There's no way around that. The low back is being compressed. As you compress, start to push down through the left foot a little bit more so that left foot is strong, is taking more and more weight, and you can lengthen that right leg and at the same time decompress the low back. Can you feel that? As you press that left foot down, that front foot down, it takes a little bit of weight off the chair, but it decompresses the low back and that right leg can stretch out more. Lift the right hand, that's going to compress the low back more, so push into the left foot more. The more you press into that left foot, the more decompression of the spine you'll feel. It's going to work that front leg, lift that left hand, that's going to decompress the back more, or compress the back, push into that front foot, and you'll almost be coming off your chair. Now watch the head. Is the head popped forward? All right, bring the back of the head back and up, lift up, exhale, release. Keep your posture as you release. Don't collapse. Keep that long axis in the torso as you soften the legs and rotate back to the front. Notice how strongly that front leg worked. Can you feel that quadricep knee area really worked? So when we come into Warrior One, when the front leg is working, it's helping decompress the spine. So even in our warrior, we can find our leg work is going to help us in our posture. Yay! All right, let's open that right side and pivot to the right. Right thigh stays on the chair, left thigh is off. Start with posture. vertical axis. Crown of the head tall, shoulders back, and float that left leg back. Heel is lifted. You're on the ball of the foot. Bring that left hip forward. Immediately there's going to be a little compression in the back. So push down on that right foot. If your right foot's not flat on the ground, bring a block under the right foot. I really want you to get that front foot working here. As you push down on that front foot, that back leg is going to lengthen more, and there's less decompression, there's less compression in the back. Grab the stool with the right hand, lift the left hand, and bring the left hand back and the head back. There's compression, so push down through that right foot. You start to almost feel like you're lifting off the chair now. Right hand up. Strengthen that front leg so the weight's coming off. In fact, that right sit bone might even be off the chair at this point. But you're also taking compression out of the back. Exhale, release. Relax. Keep your posture conscious as you bend. Return to the front. Find your posture. Notice your low back. Imagine an axis going right through the center of the body, right up through the crown of the head. Turn the head to the right around that axis. Inhale, neutral, and then to the left. Inhale, neutral. Bring your axis horizontally through the ears, right through the brain. And pivot the head over that axis, look up. And then look down. Notice how that keeps the head in good posture. Inhale the head to neutral. Grab the chair for support as you stretch. Legs out, slide the hands down, and notice all that work on the low back has probably tightened us up again. So up and down a few times. Dynamic stretching of the posterior chain of the legs and the low back. The next time you come forward, pause and hold. Toes curled back, of course. Walk the hands back up. Straddle the legs into a wider V and lean forward, coming into a deeper forward fold. You can have a block between the feet if you wish and bring the hands to your block. Bend the elbows and hinge forward until the weight of your torso is between the thighs. Drop the head, let the head dangle, let the shoulders dangle. You can, if you wish, cross the arms into your ultimate forward fold. Stay down as long as feels delicious. Remember, when you come out, use the arms to lift you up, not the back. Straighten the arms and elbows to thighs. on up and prepare for Shavasana. Shavasana 1 is you can take something behind your back, blocks under the feet, make sure you're warm. If you need a shawl, you can use a shawl. And leaning back into your support with the feet elevated. If you have a second support that you can let the head rest against, like a backrest or another towel. Remember, we don't want to compress the neck, we want it to be long. Palms rest, facing up, back of the hands on the thighs. Now, even in rest, scan your attention into the key postural alignment points. Feel that hip area and low back. So we're leaning back against the bolster in a way where the hips are a little forward, so we haven't lost the integrity of our posture here. Palms are face up, so the chest is open, shoulders are back. Which makes it easier for the head to come back. Now you want the head floating, you want the head tilt to be as natural as you can. So the chin is not lifted, we're not compressing the back of the neck. If you have head support, that's even better. So there's still this sense if you're lying on the ground in Shavasana 2, your legs supported on the chair, your spine is supported on the ground. Make sure the head is in neutral head tilt. So good posture while we're lying down counts. Good posture translates to ease of breathing. Ease of breathing translates to slower heartbeat. Slower heartbeat translates to reduced stress. these are all the ingredients we need to help us recover. More efficiently. To sleep deeper. To heal. To digest. Take a deeper breath in. Exhale with a sigh, letting go of that final tension. And take a moment to reflect if you want to stay in Shavasana for a little while longer or not. Or if you're ready to transition. As you transition, be conscious of your posture throughout the transition. So keep that vertical axis, the position of your head, your hips, conscious. So that posture is an awareness that you carry as often as you can. The inventor of the Alexander technique said that if we could just bring our awareness to what we're doing, it would solve 80% of our problems. Keep that light of awareness as you bring your hands together. Let the head bow in gratitude for our practice. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.